Today is Wednesday, September the 7th, 2016, and I just got done watching the Commander-in-Chief Forum. Now, this forum was not a debate, but it was kind of a discussion with Matt Lauer, who is the so-called moderator from NBC News, who also happened to allegedly be a big-time Clinton Crime Foundation donor. But I digress. Point is, this was not a debate, but it did feature presidential candidates Donald Trump and Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now, they were at the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum in New York. As you can see in the picture before you, it's right there on the water. Now, like I said, it was not a debate. It was only about an hour long. Each candidate had about a half hour, give or take, if you take out the commercials and whatnot at the beginning and or the end of their segment. It's maybe about 20 to 25 minutes. Really, I'll go ahead and tell you what I think about it. It was more just about just getting you ready for the debate. The actual debate, I think the actual debate is on the 26th of the month. I'm not quite sure. And the debate is with Lester Holt, also of NBC News. And it will also be on NBC like this so-called town hall or whatever, forum, whatever this was, right? That is going to be the main dish, because in this forum, Trump and Hillary did not speak to each other. They were not in the same room at the same time. It was individual sit downs with Matt Lauer for about 20 to 25 minutes. Now, Hillary actually went first, and there was actually a coin toss, and I'll place that picture on the screen before you. I think they had the coin toss the day before. So I guess yesterday on Tuesday, they had a coin toss to determine who would go first. And Hillary was able to go first, which I think worked in Trump's favor because he was able to directly respond to what she had just said. Hillary was responding to things that Trump had said in the past rather than what he just said right at that moment, you know, being backstage and being able to hear what he said about her, right? So Hillary Clinton went first, and pretty much right out the gate, Matt Lauer asked her about the whole email situation, and she pretty much stuck to her whole lie about not sending any emails or any classified information that was marked as classified, even though Julian Assange has come out and said, hey, she sent emails that were marked as classified with a big C on it. Now, how do you not know what that means if you are a Secretary of State? How do you not know what that means if you are in a high position of power? You have to know what it means. So then she goes on to talk about what it takes to be the president. I think that was a question that Matt Lauer asked her.
What is the most important characteristic that a commander-in-chief can possess?
Steadiness, an absolute rock steadiness, and mixed with strength to be able to make the hard decisions, because I've had the unique experience of watching and working with several presidents.
So when she said that about the whole steadiness and strength, you know, I kind of busted out laughing. I was like, you talking about steadiness and strength and being rock steady, being a solid person? I mean, you falling down all over the place, you're getting concussions, and you blaming your lies that you told to the federal government on lapses that came as a result of your concussion, right? You're coughing all over the place. And by the way, she did not have any kind of coughing fit in this little exchange between her and Matt Lauer that lasted only about 20 to 25 minutes. But she did clear her throat one time when she was talking about the email situation.
Classified material has a header which says top secret, secret, confidential, nothing. And I will repeat this, and this is verified in the report by the Department of Justice. None of the emails sent or received by me had such a header.
Were some of the emails sent or received?
She's lucky that did not happen in this debate or this, pardon me, forum. This is not the debate, but she's lucky it didn't happen here. But we still have the debate to go at the end of the month. And if she has a coughing fit there, I think it'd pretty much be a nail in her coffin, but I digress. Now, as we get through more of what she was talking about, you know, I admit, you know, I'm on my couch watching it. I was pretty much halfway asleep. When she started to talk, it was like a lullaby. She was rocking me to sleep like a baby. I mean, low energy. I was bored. I was ready to go to bed, right? So it was hard for me to kind of keep engaged with what she was saying. But there were a few things that kind of stuck out. It's just like when you halfway asleep and somebody, you know, they play loud music or they hit some cymbals or something right beside your face. Some things she said just kind of woke me up because I realized how much of a big lie she was telling to the American people. Now, she's talking about Iraq and Syria. She said that there will not be any more ground troops in Iraq or Syria. Okay, so really what that means, that's a political statement right there. That's obvious what that means. That means that there won't be any more ground troops. Maybe she'll abide by that promise and maybe she won't. But there will be air. There will be drone strikes. I think Obama said the same thing about ground troops, but yet he does drone strikes all the time. And she didn't say anything about not going into Iran. She talked about the whole Iran nuclear deal, talking about how it was a good thing and this, that, and the third, how you're able to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, which is not even really true. But she's saying that was a good thing. But she did not say that she wouldn't go into Iran. Maybe she said that's a good thing that they have the whole Iran nuclear deal because that, I guess, weakens her chance of being able to get a nuke, therefore strengthening our chance if we go in there on a ground invasion, which if that happens, it's the end of the world. That's World War III. Now, I think it was a question about gun control here or about how to improve the criminal aspect of our country in the United States. And she talked about not allowing individuals that are on a terror watch list to get a gun. Now, that's just ridiculous. That's a draconian rule because really the truth is that anybody can get put on a terror watch list. So to say that you're not able to get a gun if you're on a terror watch list is really just circumventing the Second Amendment, right? Because for any reason you can get put on a terror watch list. Okay, you're making a YouTube video and I think you're saying some things that could be inflammatory. Therefore, I put you on a watch list. We're just going to watch you just to make sure that nothing is going on. And then you try to go get a gun. They do a background check. Uh-oh, you can't get a gun. You're on a terror watch list. So that was pretty much the end of her little remarks. You know, I'll put the full remarks and I'll probably be able to get the full video. As you know, I put that in the description box below. And I also put a summary of what she said in the box below. But after they take a break, they come back and then they bring out Trump, which again is a good thing because I think bringing out Trump second was good because he was able to respond directly to Hillary. And before I get into Trump's comment, some people say that Hillary had a great performance. They say that she come off as a strong individual, but I say she came off more as a crotchety person, kind of angry. She had some cases where she was raising her voice a little bit, almost screaming. I'm like, you might not want to do that because your voice may go hoarse and you can't have that. You can't have any more coughing fits like you had just the other day in Cleveland, Ohio, right? So then they bring in Trump and Matt Lauer is pretty much asking Trump, well, what makes you a good candidate to be the president? What makes you have the ability to run the nation? What have you done in the past that enables you to run a nation? And Trump pretty much gives his standard answer, which I think is a good answer, that he's been able to run a business. He's been able to be very successful. He's been all over the world.
What have you experienced in your personal life or your professional life that you believe prepares you to make the decisions that a commander-in-chief has to make?
Well, I've built a great company. I've been all over the world. I've dealt with foreign countries. I've done very well, as an example, tremendously well dealing with China and dealing with so many of the countries that are just ripping this country. They are just taking advantage of us like nobody's ever seen before. And I've had great experience dealing on an international basis. I look today and I see a Russian plane circling our planes. They're taunting us. I see in Iran, I see the boats taunting our ships, our destroyers.
But what have you done in your life that prepares you to send men and women of the United States into harm's way?
Well, I think the main thing is I have great judgment. I have good judgment. I know what's going on. I've called so many of the shots.
And he understands how to negotiate, how to deal with individuals on a worldwide level, which I think is a good quality to have, because at the end of the day, that's going to be required. And I said this about Hillary. If she's going to go to these G-series meetings and she's being crotchety, she's coughing, that is not a good way to put your best foot forward, especially in a situation where it's male dominated. If you're going to the G-series meetings, the majority of heads of state are male. And if you're coming in there as like a crotchety old lady, it ain't really going to work out. But I digress. So then Trump talks about Putin. And, you know, Matt Lauer is grilling him about Putin, talking about, well, how do you let Vladimir Putin give you a compliment and then you just accept it and you're trying to be buddy-buddy? That's not exactly what he said, but I'm paraphrasing. That's basically what he was saying about, you know, why do you get along? Why would you want to get along with Putin when he's just so bad? He's a bad guy. He invaded Crimea and he supports Bashar al-Assad, which, by the way, is a good thing to do, supporting Bashar al-Assad at least, because Bashar al-Assad is a good guy in the whole situation. He's trying to fight ISIS, and we say that we're trying to fight ISIS. So why would we not be on his side? Because he uses gas on a terrorist. I mean, we want to do the same thing, so I don't see what's the problem. I think the thing about Assad is that there's a deeper issue going on with Syria that other people in that surrounding area have an interest in that does not interest the United States. But I won't even go there in this video. Trump was basically like, look, about Putin, I mean, why can't he give me a compliment? Why can't I accept it? It doesn't mean because he gives me a compliment, it's going to give him special treatment. He gives me a compliment, that's fine. I can accept the compliment. It doesn't have to be like, quid pro quo. You call me a good guy, you give me a good compliment, I'm going to just give you whatever you want and give you carte blanche to go all over the world and just have your way and come to the U.S. and do the same thing. Nah, we can have a good relationship. We can respect one another, but at the same time, we can meet as sovereign nations and be able to build that way. That just kind of makes sense. That's a logical thing to do. It doesn't have to be such an adversarial tone with Vladimir Putin because he's of a rival nation. It doesn't have to be that way. We can be rival nations. We can be competitors, but we can respect one another. And then they talk about the VA and how it can be improved. And Trump is basically saying that, you can improve the wait times. You can have it to where if a veteran cannot get treated at the VA, he can go to a regular hospital, public or private, and then the government will pay for the bill. I think that's a good thing to do if they're able to implement it. But I think the main thing about the VA would be to get it under control, because if you're able to get the VA fixed, then you're able to solve the problem without having a whole bunch of more expenditures, treating veterans at private and public hospitals. That wouldn't be necessary if you fix the VA the way it is now. I think with the VA, you got a lot of bureaucracy, red tape, a lot of bloat, a lot of unnecessary things that's going on, a lot of incompetent doctors that are overprescribing medication. And that was one thing he got on about the whole suicide thing. It was a young lady in the audience talking about 20 people a day. Trump actually said it was 22. But then he was like, well, if it's between 20 and 22 suicides per day of veterans, that what you could do is have more invested into mental health and also just fix the VA, because a lot of individuals, take their own life while they're awaiting treatment. Now, the reason why I said about the whole drug situation being overprescribed is because my personal viewpoint is that a lot of veterans kill themselves because they're prescribed medication for simple injuries that they may have sustained in war and or just in general day-to-day things. You go to Afghanistan for a couple years, you're hiking up and down mountainous terrain with heavy equipment on your back. You come home and your back is hurting, and then they give you some pills that are opiate derivatives, and then 2 years later you end up dying over overdose, or something was in the medication that gave you suicidal tendencies. You understand? So that is kind of underreported. So I think that could actually fix a lot of what's going on. So that's pretty much all I got for that. I mean, overall, I think it was not too much going on. I think that was kind of a nothing burger, be quite honest. But it was good to see at least it's narrowed down to the two people. I think Trump said it in the actual event here that he's been able to defeat like 16 or 17 people in the GOP to get to where he's at right now, breaking records. In the process, getting the most votes out of any GOP nominee ever. So I think that this just represents that it's time. It's almost crunch time. November is almost here, and we're pretty much at the home stretch. So Hillary got to tighten up, Trump got to tighten up, and they got to just go ahead and get them votes. I'm looking at polls right now, like, post debate or post forum polls, and it's pretty much a dead heat, 50-50 Trump Clinton. And I think at the end, once come November, people will be shocked at how many people come out and vote for Trump. So that's all I really got to say about it. Again, it wasn't a whole lot going on, but it was good to see that we've progressed to this point. What do you think? Do you think that Trump had a good performance in this forum? Do you think he had a bad performance? What about Hillary? Did she have a good performance, bad performance? Were there any lies told? Was there anything cleared up? Was she evasive of certain questions? Do you think that Matt Lauer was giving Hillary and or Trump softball questions, or was he trying to give you gotcha questions? Like the whole question about, Iran or Iraq giving to Trump. Some say he didn't go hard enough, but it was another question about the rape situation going on in the military where Matt Lauer already had a tweet prepared. I'm not really sure if the whole thing was, pre-planned, the questions that is. I'm not really sure if it was pre-planned, or if it was pre-planned, how long it was pre-planned in advance, or if it was just kind of off the cuff. It just went into the audience and just gave and selected random questions. I don't think it was random questions. What they probably did was probably like an hour or two before or the day before, asked the questions that would be, they selected the questions that would be asked at the actual forum. Again, that's all I got for it. Whatever your questions are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.